Hi everyone, my name is Cameron. Welcome back to my channel. This is a wrap up. Yay! Today's gonna be an interesting video because I didn't sleep last night, so I'm hyper. So this is the wrap up for the month of August that just happened. We're now in September. That's the thing. Time happens, time passes, we're done, we're there, we're gone. Okay. Let's be honest, August didn't happen at all. Reading, also nothing was there, nothing happened. Apart from the fact that something did happen and I did read. I read 6 and a bit books. 6 and a bit. Which is not great. But, whilst the quantity wasn't there, let me tell you, the quality, fantastic. Impeccable, amazing, 10 out of 10. Great stuff. Okay, the first book! This book is called The Extraordinaries. By TJ Klune. It's a new release and it's fantastic. I gave this one 5 out of 5 stars. Kicked off the month with a bang. If you don't know about me and my thing for TJ Klune, or you're missing out, go watch some other stuff that I've made because you'll hear me talk about him quite frequently. One of my favourite authors, if not my favourite author of all time. This is about a book called Nick. And it's set in a world where there are superheroes called Extraordinaries, and our boy Nick, fabulous character, one of my favourite main characters, he has ADHD, he's very gay, a complete hot mess, and he's one of the most popular fanfiction writers in the Extraordinaries fandom. If that doesn't sound like something I would like, something I would relate to, I don't know what the fuck does. There are 2 main superheroes in his city. And one of them is called Shadowstar, and he is the hero. The other one is called Pyrostorm, and he's the villain. And Nick is in love with Shadowstar, but Shadowstar, being a superhero, doesn't know he exists. He doesn't know that he exists, and he's all upset about it. So the main plot of this book is Nick is like, I need to get his attention. And to do that, he does some wacky stuff. But also, the background stuff is very sweet as well, because his mum is dead, so he's just living with his dad, and they're kind of working through their relationship. He's got a bunch of friends, all of them are gay. And he and his best friend, they're in love, but they don't know it yet. So romance ensues. Everything about this was fantastic. Let's start with plot. Plot was impeccable. It was fun. It was action-packed, but it also had a quiet slice of life moments. It was the perfect mix. There's a big focus on the fact that Nick has ADHD in this book, and he struggles with it. It's really severe, and he finds life hard sometimes. And boy, it was dealing with relationships and toxic relationships and people breaking up but still remaining friends, and it was really good. The plot was just so good. Something that I think might be a turn-off for some people was how fucking oblivious Nick is. But also, I loved that. That was one of my favourite things about the book. So it's so endearing. After, this much, you know something, and Nick just doesn't for the entire rest of the book, and that is what makes this book so much fun. I feel like if you didn't know, it wouldn't be as interesting. So I kind of like that. He's just so dumb, but it's so... I just love him a lot. He's such a fun character. I loved being in his head, even though he doesn't... Irony. He's so, witty and sarcastic, and he's such a teenager. There's a thing when you write teenagers, there's a certain element you need. Some adult authors just don't get that sometimes, which is fair enough. They're not teenagers, it's kind of hard. But this book did it so well. I literally felt like me and Nick would have been very good friends. He felt such a real character, and he made so many mistakes, but honest ones that you would make in that situation. He's not a perfect character by any means. He's oblivious, he's make dumb decisions, he's desperate at some points, and that just makes him just do the complete wrong thing. And the relationships he has with his dad and with his friends are so realistic. The relationships at the beginning of this book are not good sometimes. They have discussions about things, especially the relationship with Nick and his dad. It grew and became a thing, and I really, really liked that. One of the things, if you know how I review stuff, I give it 5 stars if I have emotions throughout. If I'm sitting there crying, if I'm sitting there screaming at the characters, or if, I don't know, something is happening that I have to express, then it can get 5 stars. Not always, but it can. This whole time, literally from page 1, I was yelling at this boy and his dumb decisions. But he's one of the most endearing characters I've ever met. Like, almost immediately, he was my son, and I would protect him with my life. This was so good. This is gonna mess with the continuity, but I'm gonna put my glasses on because the lack of sight is annoying me, and it stops my hair from getting in my eyes because I need a haircut. Okay, the next thing I read was The King's Men by Nora Sakovic. This is the 3rd book in the All to the Game trilogy. If you don't know, this trilogy is about a boy called Neil who goes to college to play a fictional sport called Exy, which is kind of like lacrosse, and everyone in his team has a really, really traumatic past. And the past, let me tell you, traumatic. Look up trigger warnings for this. It's stuff like rape and abuse and death and murder and gory shit happens in this. Especially in this one, actually, like, torturous, bad things go down. So please, please, please look up trigger warnings for this book. But apart from that, I did really enjoy this. You may have seen my vlog and stuff for the first 2 books. I didn't really like the first one, but as it goes on, the characters keep getting to know each other and the relationships progress, and this kept happening with this book, which I really, really liked. I don't want to say too much about the relationships because I feel like that's a bit of a spoiler, even though I knew it going in, but there is a queer relationship in this. It's not necessarily a healthy relationship, let me warn you, but also, when they work through some shit, the plot in this picked up as well. There were times when I was reading it where I was like, no, please stop there. It gets sad. I think I cried. I read this early on in the month, so I can't remember, but I think I cried. It feels like I would have. It doesn't just focus around their past and stuff, it does focus a bit around the sport, and I really thought that that was a bit I would not care about, and it was in the first book. I could not care less. But then in the second book, and especially in this one, I was gripped. I was on the edge of my seat. I was like, oh my god, if they do not win this game, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I cared so much about them winning the fucking tournament against the heckin' Ravens. I was This has great character development. If you're looking for that, would recommend this. Yeah, I really liked all the characters in this. Because of the character development, you end up loving these characters. I was very attached to them. Even like the side characters, I really love Renee. And I love Neil and I like this book a lot. I didn't give this 5 stars. I gave it 4, maybe 4.5. Like, with this one and a couple of the other 5 stars, I've been thinking about it literally ever since I read it. But, not this one. So not a 5. And it wasn't perfect. There were definitely mistakes. It was definitely problematic in some aspects. If you're going to go into this, recognise that this is unhealthy behaviour. And when you do, and accept that and don't judge it for that, I think it can be good. I would not recommend this to everyone. I would recommend it to a specific type of person. But if so far you've had similar reading taste to me, yeah, pick it up. But be careful about it, like trigger warnings. Next one, I have a whole vlog for this one, and it is The Library of the Unwritten. I'll link the vlog down below. This is about a woman called Claire who is a librarian, and she is the librarian of Hell's Library, and in Hell's Library all the books are ones that have concepts but have not been written yet, so hence the Library of the Unwritten. When books become like restless or people are thinking about them too much, they can wake up, and they do this by becoming one of their main characters, and then if they so desire, they can escape from the library and go to find their author. And this book is about Claire, her assistant Brevity, and a demon called Leto going to find one of the books. And that is like the beginning of this book. It goes into a lot more detail. There are angels who are on a race to find a different book with them. If there's magic, they go to Valhalla at one point, which is like a Norse afterlife. And I gave this 4.5 stars, but I wanted to give it 5, but it wasn't quite there. The like world building, I guess, in this book is so cool, and like the magic system is great. It's not really like magic, but it's magical, which is really cool. The concept is so cool. I really like, the thing that attracted me to this book was the concept, and it was definitely executed well. I loved the characters in this. Leto and Hero were my favourites. It's very yeah, I got attached. This was such a fun time. Like, it was serious, and definitely, like, there were consequences, but also it was fun. It was an adventure. Like, even though the stakes were so high, it was still felt like a good time. I wasn't reading it like tense or angry or like bad emotions. I was having fun reading this, which I really liked. Also, the end like battle thing was cool. Like, there was a plot twist in here that was like I did get it before it happened, but only like a little bit before, I have to say. Like, I wasn't very observant with this, but good times. Fun times here. I really enjoyed this book. The writing was beautiful. There were some really cool and inventive bits. If you want to see me read this in real time, go check out that vlog. It's a 24-hour one. Bit of a write-a-thon as well, so if you like 24-hour challenges, I stayed up the whole time. It was a lot of fun. Definitely go check it out. I'll link it down below. Next book I read. Also amazing. We're on a roll this month. It was The City We Became by N.K. Jemisin. Gave this one 5 stars. Perfect book for me. I really enjoyed this. So this is set in a world where when cities become big and have fully fledged cultures, they become alive and they go through what they call a birthing, and when this happens, the essence of the city is like given to a person, and that person becomes the personification of that city. And this book is about the birthing of New York City, and because it's got 5 different boroughs, each borough has a personification, or an avatar as they call it in this book. And however, the main catalyst is that something goes wrong during this birthing. They're not quite sure what, but there is an enemy who's trying to stop it and stop all other birthings, and they're trying to fight her, but also trying to find each other, trying to figure out what's going on. Most of them have no idea what's happening. There's also a main avatar of New York, like New York City as a whole, who's gone missing, and they have to try and find him as well. This is so fun. It's so great and gripping. It's like exciting, and there are some really, really cool like fight scenes in here. Like, the prologue is so cool, man. This is such a fun time. This is also has loads of rep in it. The majority of the cast is POC. There is trans rep, there's gay rep. Speaking as a trans person and a gay person, good stuff. There's a side character who's a trans guy, and he stole my heart pretty much immediately, and he's barely in this book at all, which made me sad. The characters in this were delightful. They're like complex. I think there was a big danger of this in making them kind of like very similar, considering they're all going through a similar thing, but they're so different. Each character has their own personality, and their personalities really shine through in this book, and it's so cool. They make mistakes, they do bad things, but some of them are just mean, but you still root for them and you still love them. And the villain was so cool. Like, the abilities that she had were epic, and as they like go through this book and discover what they can actually do, it's such a fun journey to go on with them. The writing, amazing. The world building, so cool. I know that when I explain it, it sounds really convoluted and complicated, but when you read the book, it comes across so easily without being like complete info dump, which was definitely a thing that could have happened with this book. It was just done so well. It was executed so amazingly. This is the first N.K. Jemisin book I've ever read, and I definitely will be going back to her sometime in the future because I loved this book. I would definitely recommend this if this sounds even remotely up your alley. The next book I read was If Not Winter, Fragments of Sappho, translated by Anne Carson. This was a beautiful book. This is translations of fragments of Sappho's poems, and Sappho was a ancient Greek poet, probably a lesbian, let's be honest. And their only parts of her poems are remaining. They all look like this. Each page has the Greek on one side and then the English on the other. As you can see, I tabbed all my favourite ones, and there are a lot of tabs here, so I really enjoyed this. I don't rate stuff like this. I don't rate classics or non-fiction because, I don't know, it just seems weird to me, but I really enjoyed this for what it was. It's a really quick read. Some of the poems are literally just like a couple of lines. Like, look, that one is just... I think I would like this nearly as much as I did, just because I find translations sometimes to be a bit hard to read, but Anne Carson's was so, so good. It was clear and easy to read and easy to understand, but also kept that like beautiful language that Sappho uses. This was great. If you're looking for something to start out with for like ancient Greek stuff, I would definitely recommend it. The last complete book I read was Birthday by Meredith Russo. I want to give a brief disclaimer about this book. After I read it, I was looking at some Goodreads reviews, and I always find it interesting to look at the 1 stars, and I saw some stuff claiming that Meredith Russo had done some not so cool stuff in the past. It's kind of triggering, so I'm not gonna just like go ahead and say it, but if you're interested you can look it up. But I tried to look it up. I tried to figure out as much as I can to have a full understanding, but I only found one article which seemed wasn't enough for me to fully understand what was going on. So I'm just going to, in my head, separate the work from the author and talk about this by itself as a thing. But just a quick disclaimer, just so you're aware, there are rumours about the author not being such a nice person. So, but this book I loved so much. This is a book that I have to give 5 stars. I just have to. I finished this like last night, or the night before. It might not be something that like affects my life. I'm just not in the place where it would. But if I had read this even a couple of months ago, it would be on the same level as Love, Simon, I think, for me. Like, the same emotion level. I think this is the earliest I've ever cried in a book. I started crying at page 30. This far through this book, I was sobbing. This book is about 2 best friends, Morgan and Eric, who share the same birthday and live in the same place. And this follows them every year on their birthday from ages 13 to 18. Just those little snapshots of time, which is so well, and it's well done as well. I thought that might annoy me, but it didn't at all. It was perfectly executed. And Morgan is a trans girl, and it's her journey, I guess, like accepting herself. This book is sad. It's sad, man. It is hopeful at the end. It has a hopeful ending, but a lot of the negative reviews I was seeing was the fact that the happy ending is literally the ending, and they didn't see the point of having Morgan basically suffer so much. But it just felt so real to me. I don't have that complaint because it's true, and it was. I understand why people might think that, and some trans people were saying that, but personally, this is the trans experience. You do feel like this sometimes, a lot of the time, especially if you're in the situation that Morgan's in this. It's... I was literally just crying the whole time. I read this completely in one day, in one sitting, just sobbing the whole time, because it was just good. I loved Eric in this. If you're cis and you know trans people, if you want to know how to react, just in case someone comes out as trans who you know, or something like that, please read this book and just be Eric. Because literally his, like... Oh, it just hurt my heart. He was so... This is it. This is how people should react to things. Trigger warnings, again, for a lot of stuff in here. Morgan goes through hard shit. And if you're not in the place where you want to read that, don't read it. It's intense. I am out and happy, and this was almost too much for me. So, just... be careful, please. Aside from the fact that it made me cry, this book has great characters, as I just said. It's very well executed. That was my main worry going into this, is that the whole every year for one day writing style wouldn't be my thing, but it really works. It's easy to like follow as well. Like the plot line doesn't feel jolted, it feels like one smooth plot line, and it works really well because it gives you like 6 years of this life. It's not like a lot of books where it's like, here's a month in the life of a trans person, and you don't really get a full experience. And it's the whole like journey of figuring it out and denial, and then you like repress it. And a side plot line in this is like the whole family dynamic. Both Morgan and Eric are going through really hard times at home. I wouldn't recommend this to everyone, as I said, be careful, but if you feel like you're in the place where you can handle this, handle it, because it's so good. Those are all the books I finished. I also read this much of The Divine Comedy by Dante. I read all of the Inferno and part of Purgatorio. I didn't finish this because after my 24-hour readathon, which I read part of the Inferno in, once again, link down below, I feel like I consumed too much of it at once and I needed to do it bit by bit. So I stopped reading this for a while and I've just only come back to it now. I'm still enjoying it. It's a good time. This is, if you somehow don't know, is Dante's self-insert fanfiction with Virgil. Virgil is a playwright from years and years before Dante was born, and Dante's got a big fat man crush on him, so he writes himself into a fanfiction, and they go on adventures together, and Virgil is his heroic guide who tours the afterlife with him and carries him to safety, and who he calls an ocean of wisdom, and where most other people hold their heart or whatever. And it is quite a hard to read. It's translated from Italian and the language used is old. It's I would recommend like reading a brief synopsis before going into this, just so you can be clear about the plot points, because it is quite hard at times. But apart from that, it's good. It's a lot of fun. It's like the plot itself is a good time. I'm having fun with it, but it's just a bit much all at once. These are all the books that, as I said, there aren't that many of them this month. I was in a bit of a slump, but the ones I did read I loved. So it was 5 stars, 4 stars, 4.5, 5 stars, didn't rate, 5 stars, not rated. So I didn't give anything this month below a 4 stars. And if this is 4.5, I didn't rate anything this month below a 4.5. So, good going? Good going. Let me know how your reading month went. What did you read? What was your favourite book? How many? All that. Just let me know. I'm intrigued. That's all from me. Hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you have a great day. Bye.